Flint, Michigan, the city that became infamous for the debacle around contaminated water that was making people sick, still does not have clean water for its residents in the middle of this coronavirus pandemic as the country starts to reopen and that state reopens. Joining us from their homes in Flint are clean water activist Nakia Wakes and author of What the Eyes Don't See, a story of crisis, resistance, and hope in an American city, Dr. Mona Hanna-Attisha. Thank you both for joining us. We really appreciate it. The two of you become household names. I've interviewed you or your neighbors, it seems, many times. Dr. Mona, before we got to this COVID-19 and how it impacted the world, we know Flint was already in crisis mode. I want to talk about the fact that people in Flint still have to line up for bottled water that is donated to take to their homes, a fact that I think the majority of people don't discuss anymore and may be surprised to even hear.
Thank you, Tamra. You're right. So Flint is still under a public health advisory from our previous public health disaster. Our pipes are being replaced. They're not fully replaced yet. And until they're replaced, the precautions are still there to drink bottled water or filtered water.
This becomes a crisis on top of a crisis for you. I mean, I'll ask something as simple as, again, we keep hearing wash your hands and taking all of these safety precautions. While it was the ingestion of the lead-tainted water that was the story, you just don't trust the water in general, as I understand it. Nakia.
No, I do not. The water crisis had already had a very hard impact on me and my family. My son was struggling in school. I just found out that he has cognitive problems. It's just very hard working through this pandemic with this virus because our immune systems are already compromised, and I just feel like we're susceptible to this virus.
Dr. Mona, let me bring you in because you are, again, the person who sounded the alarm. You woke us up to this. You're a pediatrician. You heard Nakia talk about her son and what she believes the impact was on his learning. I've talked to other families who also noted that issue. Now you're homeschooling because schools are closed. How does that, again, exasperate an already ignored problem that's just simmering and getting worse?
The water crisis has implicated the health and development of our children especially. Everybody was impacted, but especially our children and their potential, because we know lead is a potent neurotoxin and can impact development and behavior and outcomes. And now we have this water crisis where everything that we have tried to build in Flint with supporting services like healthcare access and school supports and, school health care and early education, those are all on pause right now. So there's this gap in all these critical services on top of the previous crisis that also has implications for health and development. So we have the potential to see widening disparities in terms of health and education outcomes.
Nakia, when you see the people in Michigan, some of the residents protesting and demanding that Michigan reopen, knowing that you believe that you and your family are susceptible because of the already existing issues in Flint, what is your reaction?
I know a couple of people that had it. I mean, there's people dying. This virus is serious. I do not think that they should open up. I think it's too soon to open up, but I won't be out there.
Well, Dr. Mona, I know you contracted COVID-19. You've recovered. You believe if people had paid attention to Flint and the lessons in Flint, we might be in a better situation with the response to COVID-19. In what way?
Oh, there's so many parallels to our Flint story. What we learned from Flint is that we need good leadership that values public health, that we need to respect science and scientists and not dismiss them, and that we need to invest in public health infrastructure. The Flint water crisis also taught us that not everybody bears the same burden when it comes to public health disasters. What happened in Flint was an injustice that wouldn't have happened in other places. These are the exact same lessons that we are experiencing today with the COVID pandemic.